Good evening and welcome to the 13th Annual Gala of the Tennessee Aviation Hall of Fame, where we award people and recognize people for doing outstanding things in the world of aviation. Our fourth inductee that I'll call forward is Mr. Harris B. Wilhoit.
Harris Will B. Wilhoit, Germantown, Tennessee. Harris Wilhoit's aviation career spans 61 years. After enlisting in the Army Air Corps in 1940, he entered Aviation Cadet Pre-Flight School in 1943, then transitioned to the newly formed U.S. Air Force and served through World War II and the Korean conflict. Following a successful 25-year military career as an enlistee and officer, he retired in 1965. Will was hired as a Learjet pilot for Executive Jet Aviation in Columbus, Ohio, by Brigadier General Paul Tibbets of Enola Gay fame. Wilhoit then landed a job with Federal Express in 1972, where he remained 24 years until his retirement at age 80. He accumulated more than 25,000 hours of flight time in 25 different aircraft. Military flight training introduced him to the Curtiss PT-14, PT-17, BT-13, and AT-6 before he graduated to the P-40 and P-47 during World War II. In 1947, he transitioned to the P-51 and B-25. After 101 combat missions in the F-80 during the Korean War, Wilhoit transitioned again as an instructor on the B-25, T-28, Navion, T-33, and F-86. He was a flight test instructor on the C-47, C-45, and C-54. His civilian career included being an instructor and test pilot on the Learjet 23/14 and the DA Falcon 20. His FedEx career included the B-707, the B-727, the DC-10, and the F-100. Harris Wilhoit has been honored for his duties on multiple occasions. From the Navy, he received Wings of Gold and is a lifetime member of the Tailhook Society. FedEx awarded him the Bravo Zulu Award 7 times for exemplary crew performance. The FAA presented him with the Wright Brothers Master Pilot Award, and he's recognized on the National Aviation and Space Exploration Wall of Honor. He is a member of the Ancient Order of Quiet Birdmen and the Military Order of Daedalians. Will describes himself in this way: "This lad was presented an opportunity in life. Somehow I recognized it as such and seized upon it with great fervor. My Irish honey, Patty, and I were married in October 1960. This was my life, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Finally, my name is Will. Don't forget." For extraordinary and enduring service and contributions to aviation for Tennessee, our nation, and the world, and for his service to our country, Harris Will B. Wilhoit is honored by and inducted into the Tennessee Aviation Hall of Fame this first day of November, 2014.
And to drape the medallion around his neck, Mary Nolan will come forth and do that. If you'll kind of turn where the photographer can see you real well. There you go. Big hand. Now, comments from Mr. Wilhoit.
Well, folks, I have an autobiography. It's 300 pages long. It's my life, but I am not going to read any of it. Because it encompasses 61 and a half years of aviation for me. So I'm going to try to be as brief as possible. I wish to talk about other people rather than myself. First person I want to talk about is Claire P. Chenault. All of you know about him. He headed up the Flying Tigers in 1942. And here's what his wife had to say about him. My late husband, General Claire P. Chenault, who led the Flying Tigers, was an amazing, ordinary man. He risked his life in what some thought was a suicide mission to keep Imperial Japan from the conquest of China that might have changed the outcome of World War II. My courageous husband and most of the Flying Tiger pilots not only survived, but they also shot down nearly 300 Japanese planes, while only 14 of their own were lost. That was in a 6-month period. These early air battles were crucial to the United States victory of the Pacific. Yet I am sad to say that today, U.S. history textbooks make no mention at the Flying Tigers, none whatsoever. No one knows a thing about them. Years ago, John Wayne even portrayed my husband in a popular movie. But today, American students have no idea of the importance of the accomplishments of the Flying Tigers and the courage and skill it took to defeat the powerful Japanese Air Force. I urge you to support this long overdue and important project. Annie Chenault, Japanese lady right here. So then they met Generalissimo Chiang Kai-shek and his beautiful wife, whom they all called Madame Chiang Kai-shek. And they said, when she spoke of the Tigers, she would always say, "These are my boys." And so that's a classy thing for a lady to say. They're going to open a museum, and I've been invited since I flew the P-40 myself, and I think I am going to be involved in it. And it's headed up by Major General James T. Whitehead, whom I worked for at one time. And it is going to be the Flying Tigers. Wait a minute. It's going to be in GUILAI in China on March 26, 2015. I will have to be involved in that. Now, I have a couple more things. I want to mention some notables and notorious groups of fighter pilots, because that's what I am, fighter pilot. You can tell us a little bit, but you can't tell us much because we're hard-nosed. Why? Because we're loners. We're all by ourselves. We have to do it all. Okay. So the first one I'm going to talk about is the Lafayette Escadrille Squadron. These were American volunteers during World War I, based in France. They were commanded by a French commander, and he stated that all were excellent pilots, but so hard to control, which is just about what I just told you. The French Air Force loved their wild, good-natured behavior and overlooked their crazy, wild ways. This is a typical fighter pilot. The good, the bad, and somewhat ugly. Then there's the Eagle Squadron. This group of some 240 pilots were nearly all American volunteers to the Royal Air Force in Great Britain during the early days of World War II, prior to the involvement of our nation. They wore the British fighter pilot uniform and flew Spitfire and Hurricane fighter airplanes. Great Britain issued them passports. How did this happen? It was a time of war, and England needed pilots, so it was done. Now, in London on Piccadilly Square, a famous restaurant was opened in their honor. It was stated that no Eagle pilot was ever charged a single penny for any service rendered, since the British government assumed all charges made. Then after the war, the gathering place became a sort of shrine and sanctuary in honor of those fighter pilots. The restaurant is, yet today, I'm told, a famous gathering place for any and all fighter pilots. The Flying Tigers, get back to them just a little bit. They consisted of 3 squadrons. They were under command of General Chennault. And as I said, they met General Chiang Kai-shek, and they were married in the perfect couple. And Madam Chiang Kai-shek was educated as a child in the United States and spoke fluent English. There was one individual, General Tex Lee, was a member of the squadron. He was a triple ace, shot down 15 Japanese airplanes. I shook his hand in 2004 at Las Vegas because I was invited out there. He was a gentleman from the word go, a fine man. The Black Sheep Squadron. This squadron, commanded by Major General Pappy Boyington, were all considered derelicts and associates by the U.S. Navy and Marine Corps. They also included Major Boeing himself. Nevertheless, this one lone squadron, a line of wild, drunken misfits, was decorated as one of the finest and had an achievement record second to none in the entire Pacific Air War. The Hat in the Ring Squadron. This was the 94th Squadron with Captain Eddie Rickenbacker, who was a member and also had a colorful history. One that makes a fighter pilot proud. So I now ask, am I proud to be a fighter pilot? Yes, I am. I could say something else, but I won't. Lest I forget them, Tuskegee Airmen, the black that fought the war. 4-star General Benjamin O. Davis, 4-star General Chappie James, Lieutenant Colonel Bulldog Drummond, I never knew his name. All 3 fighter pilots, what did they fly? Everything in the inventory. They were also good, and I knew all 3. They were among the first to be trained by the Army Air Force as fighter pilots, all which were and are African Americans. Very august, aggressive. I should know because I flew with each one in formation. Now, in conclusion, I've tried my best to record all the events that happened in my life, both good, bad, and ugly. Most of them are enjoyable, while as one might expect, some could have been done without. I listened to my senior officers and jumped on every opportunity presented or suggested. Although I did not realize at the time, I believe my rural upbringing prepared me for the advanced technology training and exposure to fighter airplanes, both propeller and modern jet. I was just lucky to have good motor skills, because that's what they said when I went to training. This guy got good motor skills. They say that's when the brain and the body work together. I didn't even know that. I've already described how I treated an airplane. It must be with great respect and gentleness. Each one is a she, which is a beautiful lady as if she were alive. It functioned well for me. My record with automobiles and airplanes is both the same. No accidents. All those years, I never had one. Never even lost an engine. Didn't blow a tire. I have most certainly enjoyed my career. Now I shall just walk quietly, excuse me, quietly into the sunset and feel very proud. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies.